Sorry.
You got an hour for reference purposes.
Perfect. All right, so we might go through a lot more of these than I thought, which is good. Okay, the cowboy sit. This is a fun one. So, anyone who's ever watched an old Western movie or has a grandfather who would take them out to do shooting or whatever, this is the cowboy sit. You have a rifle in your hand, you lean on it like this, and a lot of times you lean back like that. And then you go here, and this is your shooting position. Then you go back here and kind of lean back. I grew up in the city, by the way. I don't know any cowboys. And you're going to go back and forth just like that. Okay? This is a good way to look at somebody's ability to maintain knee flexion while under high levels of weight bearing. Okay? So typically, you will sit back on your heel, see how they feel with that, and have them just control themselves back up. So it's like a single leg hinge, essentially. A split squat hinge. And then you're going to assess, basically, if they have pain through here. So if someone who does have a potential meniscus irritation, you might see pain with the weight bearing in this position. Somebody who just hasn't been used to this position, you might see pain. And then you're going to compare to this side. Coming up, coming down, sitting, maintaining weight over the heel, controlling it back up. Coming back down, controlling it back up. Visually, as a PT, you're going to assess this just to see the symmetry side by side again. You're going to see if there's any lateral loss of balance, if there's any posterior loss of balance. You're going to see if there's any pain indicators. You're just going to see overall how they respond from a side-by-side perspective. Patients aren't shy. If they feel pain in this position, they will probably tell you. But this is a way to see how well people can actually tolerate, first of all, kneeling, as well as increased terminal knee flexion with weight bearing. Okay. This is also a way individuals who have total knee replacements who think that they're never going to kneel again, which we all know if the surgeon is competent at this point, that is absolutely untrue. They can kneel again. This is a position that you want them to get comfortable with. I might initially do it with their uninvolved side, because first of all, people just feel great when they're like, oh my God, I'm on the ground, even if it's not the side that they're actually involved with. And then work on something more double knee, and then eventually, finally, in a position like that. Okay? I wouldn't recommend necessarily, seesawing back and forth on somebody who has a total knee, but just the general positional maintenance. Okay? So that is the cowboy sit position. From there, the other sitting positions we might try. These are very dated names, I'm going to say, for most of these. It's the Japanese sit. So you're going to go with feet plantar flexed, controlled here. You're going to hang out in this position. And you're just going to see how well people can tolerate this, first of all. This is something where I would take shoes off, especially for someone who has discomfort on tops of their feet or something like that. Most of the time, shoes just dig in. So I typically would do this barefoot with somebody. But from here, just see how well they can maintain it. Okay? See if they feel any differences side by side. This is where you might see again, because this is terminal knee flexion with weight bearing. They might feel more of a pull on their left. They might feel more of a pull on the right. You might see them physically do something like that, where they are leaning all on one side, and the other side's not getting anything on it at all. So this is just another way to assess asymmetry for someone from a side-by-side position. Okay. Emily asked me about this one. The other position is the drinking the water position. So here you're going to go in the opposite position. So you're going to go into dorsiflexion. You're going to go on the soles of your feet, coming up. And then what you're going to do from there is you're going to work on a hinge as deep as you can go. And then from there, you're going to work on bringing your hand out as far as you can. And then you're going to bring your hand to your mouth, like you're drinking the water from the stream. And then you're going to go the other hand, bringing it up. Your goal is to get as deep into a hinge as you can, maintaining a neutral position, while being able to reach as far as you can. Okay? With a lot of individuals, they might feel whether they're going farther out, they're going to fall forward, they're going to fall back. Again, the goal is just to try to find as far as they can go and control it. This is a good way to encourage just trunk stability for the most part, while incorporating distal mobility. I'm not going to say it. Proximal stability for distal mobility, all that nonsense. So that's just one way to encourage that. Okay? Absolutely. Yep. So the
just angle of the.
Absolutely. Like angle. You mean this in terms
Yeah.
of yeah. So that brings us to another good one. Lauren,
Yes.
since you brought it up, would you like to explain how to use not that position, but how to use a quadruped rock back to find the squat angle?
It could. I feel like it would definitely be rocky.
That's okay.
All right.
So you want me to start?
Sure.
Okay. So and since we're on the ground, a lot of we've discussed this when I've done other squat workshops in the past. But using a quadruped rock back is one of the best ways to establish a safe squatting position for somebody who is particularly not fond of squatting. Okay, so for this, essentially, you're going to start in the tabletop position. You're going to keep the hips relatively neutral, so relatively in line with your shoulders. You're going to maintain neutral spine position. You're going to go down towards your heels until you feel your back start to round. If you can get all the way back, that's fantastic. And then come on back up. And then you're going to do the same thing, bring your knees a little bit wider. Trying to keep your back nice and neutral, controlling it. Going as low as you can go. And then controlling it back up. And then finally, you're going to do it with your legs very narrow. Work on coming down. And then coming back up. What you're doing here is essentially a horizontal squat. If you were to take any of you from this position right now, if I was to very forcefully move you 90 degrees and stand up, you're at the bottom of a squat. This is a good way to work on squat depth, to find somebody's optimal squat depth, and to just encourage that movement without the added weight bearing effect. Okay, so this is definitely a mobility drill in regards to getting there. What you're looking for is essentially the position for you that you get the most depth without losing that neutral spine position, without feelings of discomfort. Okay, so for me, I have flexible hips. I can do all three. Narrow feels uncomfortable, wide feels uncomfortable, the middle ground feels good. For most people, the middle ground is going to feel fine, in which that case, you're just going to fine tune from there. So you're going to either move them knees in and out a little bit, or you might move their feet in a little bit. Typically not out, but in a little bit. Okay? So you're going to find that position where they feel the least discomfort maintaining neutral spine, going back down. Does that make sense? Because if I was to just go here, I'm in a squat. Clear? Clear. All right, good. All right, so let's stand back up. So let's take a break. Let's take a break from this a second, and let's do another evaluative tool. So